Welcome back, everybody, to the HearthStats Challenger League Season 1. It's day 4, the final day of games for us in this HearthStats Challenger League. I'm back, I'm your host, Callum Leslie, and with me once again to cast these games is Lothar.
Hello, guys. Nice to see you again.
Lothar, people might not recognize you. You've got a new microphone, you've got new glasses. It's a whole new Lothar today.
Yeah, I'm a hipster now with glasses.
Well, we have 4 great games to bring for you today, and just to explain the format a little bit, different format. We've done best of 3 all through the past 3 days, but for today we're going to be doing best of 5. Each of these players has brought 5 decks, and we're going to see 2 bans. The bans are going to be done in rounds, so they're going to do the first ban and obviously then exchange that information, and then do the second ban to allow them to maybe pick their lineups against each other and manipulate their lineups a little bit more.
Yeah, that's very true. And also, 2 bans are very high impact when it comes to deck building, because you can then, modify your decks accordingly to the classes that you want to ban. If you have like always the same strategy to size those 2 classes that are your worst enemy, then you can build your whole lineup against the other 7 classes. And I think that's very important.
Absolutely. And we did mention yesterday we have some invited players coming in. And we're going to see one of those players up first. We're going to see Nimsh, the captain of Cloud9, a veteran player in Hearthstone, a guy who's been around for a long time, and quietly enjoys quite a lot of success in tournaments. Is a very player, consistent high performer in the tournament scene. But he's going to be playing, once again, Lothar, a player you know very well, Pause My Wham.
Yeah, he will. This is actually a Polish match. 2 Poles playing against each other, so a very something that's not occurring very often, because only from Poland we have only 3 people actually in the pro scene. It's Nimsh, me, and Pozmvam. And Erod. He was starting in DreamHack Summer with me, but he didn't get through the qualifier. But he's still trying to get into the pro scene. So yeah, looking forward to this match.
Very Polish feeling broadcast it's going to be starting off here with the 3 of you guys on, but it's going to be difficult for you to take a side between your 2 national colleagues here, but you'll probably
and both are friends of mine.
Both our friends. Pozma, of course, a former teammate. But we do have the classes here. We're waiting for the bands to come in. But we have Mage, Hunter, Druid, Warlock, and Paladin from Nimsh. And Pozma Wham has a Druid, Hunter, Warrior, Rogue, and Paladin. Obviously, the players have been able to change their decks from yesterday. And we've seen the Shaman deck being excluded from Pozma Wham. He's decided not to bring that Shaman deck back from yesterday. A good choice, you think, Lothar?
Well, his Shaman deck was underperforming yesterday from what we have seen. So I think he made the right decision to cut it out. And, well, there's a reason that Shaman is almost non-existent when it comes to ladder. I think people are... Maybe the reason behind that is rate of experimenting legend ranks. And maybe there will still be a Shaman that had to be discovered, that will be also dominating the ladder. But for now, Shaman is in a really bad spot when it comes to other classes.
So we do have those first bans coming in, and there's my face as well, finally. The Warlock of Nimsh has been banned, along with the Druid of Pozma Wham. So lineup, Pozma Wham electing to get rid of the Warlock and not face the possibilities of a Warlock deck. Obviously, Warlock, a very, very powerful class. But Nimsh opting, perhaps he's done his homework on this tournament, opting to ban the Druid, which has probably been the MVP class of the tournament so far.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm wondering if Nimsh will be playing aggressive decks. What do you think?
I think it's possible. We obviously have to see. He does have a mage, so that could well be a mech mage rather than a freeze mage. Though freeze mage has been a very popular deck, and we have seen a bit of face hunter as well.
He was always tied to a aggressive type of strategy. When we were playing in World of Warcraft TCG, when he was bringing a deck to a tournament, it was always an aggressive deck. So he was known for this kind of style in our former game.
Well, it stands to reason it was probably a zoo that Nimsh was bringing. As you say, he is known as probably known for the zoo deck, certainly more than the handlock. But we will see at least some of these other decks and see what is going to be coming out here. Pause my wham. He was playing the face hunter yesterday. Speaking of aggressive decks, which is a deck that did very well in some matchups, but it's one of those decks where if it doesn't manage to achieve its objectives, it can just get blown away. But it's a very very useful tool, particularly in a multi deck multi ban format like this.
We some one banned Warlock, right? So the best matchup for Face Hunter is actually Warlock. So I'm not really sure about his strategy here. But still, if he's playing the exact same Face Hunter as yesterday, then it's a very powerful deck. Anyways, it can win against everything.
Well, we can see now that actually the second round of bans has meant that the hunter is eliminated on both sides. So we're going to see 5 different classes represented on these two sides here. We're going to see paladin, mage, and druid for Nimsh, and we're going to see the warrior, rogue, and paladin of Pause My Wham. What variant of rogue do you think Pause My Wham is bringing? Because that could have quite a big impact on this match. I think the mage is probably the class on the other side that could have a big impact from Nimsh in determining which archetype he's bringing.
I'm not sure what kind of rogue might Pozmovan bring. I didn't see him play a rogue a long time. So it might be either Miracle Rogue or the maybe something like Dark Onyx brought, without the Gadgets and Auctioneer and one of sprints and more late game creatures. We'll have to see, but every time if it's playing 2 Blade Flurries, if this deck has 2 Blade Flurries, then it might have a really really good of the Nimsh's decks. I think like Paladin, Mage, if that Mage is Mech Mage, and Druid will always have creatures, so Blade Flurry will be the MVP here.
We talked a little bit about Shaman when we were talking Posmo Wham's decks from yesterday, and how Shaman doesn't really have an archetype in the current meta that's doing very well. And Rogue is another class which doesn't have a dominant archetype right now. We see a lot of Freeze Mage, we see either Double Combo or Ramp Druid, we see Control Paladin, Control Warrior, but there isn't just one dominant Rogue. How do you go into a situation like this in a tournament thinking about what to ban when you really just have very little idea of what you're going to be facing in a class?
Well, to be honest, when you're thinking about Rogue, you don't think about those creatures, but you think about Eviscerate, Blade Flurries, Backstabs, Agents. Those are the staples in the Rogue, and those are the cards that you're the most worried, I think.
In fact,
And
we did see in the Shaman Rogue match with Pause My Wham. I believe it Pause My Wham and Cats? Yes, no, I think it was Pause My Wham and Dark Onyx, where he
yeah,
hexed the Violet Teacher in without anticipating perhaps that there were a lot of big minions in the deck, and that really messed him up because he wasn't able to see what was coming out there. And I guess that anticipation, Rogue having a bit more firepower in terms of minions, is something that's a little bit more common with obviously the lack of favoritism for the Gadgetan Auctioneer at this point.
well, he was also playing only one Lightning Storm, so that was a really bad matchup. I think the Shaman against the Rogue. To be honest, like you have no ways or no easy way of clearing the board after the Violet Teacher will spawn minions with just one Lightning Storm, and then if you use if he uses the Hex on a Violet Teacher, we saw the problem that backfired after that. He wasn't able to attack into other creatures because they were protected by, as the Shaman deck didn't have an easy way to deal 1 point of damage because nothing really was staying on his side of the board.
Sure. So looking at the picks and bans, and obviously what these two players have been left with in their 3 deck lineup, which lineup do you think is favored at this point?
It really depends on the rogue. Like if that rogue will have a good matchup, it can have if it will have a good matchup against Druid, then all those matchups will be good. So this might be a 3-0 from Rogue, from Posmivam's Rogue, or it might be then if that's not the case, then it might be really hard for Posmivan to put a fight here. Like I'm predicting that Nimsh is playing aggressive decks, and well, as you know, Rogue might be struggling with super aggressive decks unless he's really built to sustain those with Farseers or maybe anti-heal bots and stuff like that. And there's a Paladin, right? There
Yeah,
can also be really different build from Paladin.
on both sides. There's Paladin.
Yeah. And the third class from Posmivam is
Control
Druid,
Warrior.
right? Oh, Control Warrior, right. Uh, and Control Warrior might be really okay with aggro-ish decks, but with non-Death Rattle decks. Like if the Mech Mage is surprisingly strong against the Warrior, if it just drops two piloted Sky Golems. Like an example, they're like Savannah High but you can say they're more powerful because the Death Rattle can be also more powerful than just two Hyenas. Uh, but on the other side, it's still a coin flip
Yeah,
because
less consistent.
yeah.
So we're just waiting for this game to get ready. These guys are getting into the lobby. Just a couple of minutes for us to get ready for that. But let's look ahead a little bit to our next game as well, because our second player who's going to be coming in today, who we didn't see in the tournament so far, is Kalento. Now, many people consider Kalento to be one of the very best players in the world. Of course, rounding out the year by winning DreamHack Winter, took victory in the VIA Game House Cup and various other tournaments as well. And he's going to go up against Ari, who did very well in the group stages. But we're actually getting ready to start this game now, and jump into it, I believe,
Awesome.
any second now. But just a word, just a word on Kalenta. There, just being teased that we were going to start, and then we're not. So let's talk about Kalento a little bit. Where do you think Kalento is still one of the very best players in the world?
Well, I think his still is in the recent tournament results are not he's still in a good shape, but you had to be really not thinking straight when you would say that Colento drops from the top. He's still a really skilled player, and maybe he's just lacking something when the meta game changed, and he's still searching for that decks that will work for him. Maybe this will be the case to break the losing streak that he's on.
We are going to see a very interesting lineup from those two players as well. But Ari, one of the players we're going to see on stream today, again, we've tried to bring you, big established players taking on guys who've come through the couple of rounds of the Challengers League. We've been in the tournament for the last 3 days. Players like My Settings, who did very well yesterday in the last couple of days. We're going to see him against Ty's NL. We're finally going to get to see Tice on stream. And then we're going to see Hyped versus Hueva Kevin. Hueva Kevin, of course, knocked out Life Coach on day one. So he's had quite a tournament so far. But at this point, Nimsh, are you, Lothar, are there any... I'm calling you Nimsh because we're getting ready to start casting Nimsh. We do have other games coming in today, but we're not going to be seeing them on stream. We do have a replay from day one of 6-0 and Alchemix. That was the very first game we casted on the first day. That's actually being replayed in the round of 16. We do have Finteris versus Semi-Dew and Kit Kats versus Dark Wonix as well. So we're going to bring you updates on those matches when we get them. They're happening at the same time as our first three matches. But here we go. We're into the match here, and we have the Control Warrior for Pause My Wham on the top, and the Paladin of Nimsh on the bottom, it looks like. Paladin, a strong opening
Oh man,
against
that's a
most
really
decks.
strong hand. That's a really strong hand for
It's a,
Paladin.
it's a strong class to open with in pretty much any matchup, and a very strong opening hand. Though lots of options in the hand of the Warrior as well.
Well, he's lacking the Fear Warwick, so one of the most important cards against any minion heavy deck, and Paladin is definitely a minion heavy deck. So I have to see how he deals with those creatures. And when you look at Nimsh's hand, he has the full combo of Master the Badland, Quartermaster, and also the really crucial Harrison Jones, just to prevent the Death Rattle of Death Spite, to not kill his minions from Masterful Battle. He can just trigger the Death Rattle before he plays Masterful Battle, so that's really crucial for him.
Now, Posmoyam opted to coin out the Acolyte of Pain here rather than maybe developing his armor. How do you feel about that as an opening? Do you think the Warrior has to build up the armor as quickly as possible, or is this aggressive push for card draw when he doesn't have answers in the
Didn't
right
have a
route to go down?
choice. Armoring up will be really passive, and he needs something to pop the Divine Shield from Paladin just to get rid of the annoying creatures next turn.
Oh,
Somehow, because there's still a problem. Like he can use one of the Taskmasters to kill the 1/1, but then still doesn't feel good. Maybe he will just use the Taskmaster to push one damage on the mini bot and then finish off with the Acolyte of Pain.
not a lot
It's
of
a
great
really
options.
harsh, opening hand for Pozmevan here.
So obviously Nimsh does have the combo of the Muster for Battle Quartermaster for turn 8, but that is obviously quite a bit down the line. If you're Nimsh here and you don't get something coming into your hand for turn 4, are you tempted to maybe play the Muster for Battle?
I'm not sure. It depends on what will be played by Pozmevan turn 4. Like he will probably play Death Spite. So then you don't want to play the Master for Battle now. But, he goes for it.
He's going to
Okay.
go for it, and actually Posmoam had a Whirlwind come into hand there, so that could
Yeah.
really be a bad one for Nimsh. In fact, he has the Cruel Taskmaster as well, so we could see a Cruel Taskmaster Whirlwind play to clear all but the Zombie Chow.
Yep. It was
So,
lucky for Pozmevan to draw that Whirlwind, but still, it was game. It would be game losing if you didn't get that Whirlwind. What are the other options you can do with?
and there's a second Quartermaster.
Yeah. Now the two
So,
Quartermasters will be like dead cards. One of those will be at least a.
sure, unless you can build up some sort of crazy double Quartermaster, 2-turn combo, like create oodles of 5/5s. But this feels like a pretty good Sludge Belcher turn here.
Yep.
There are very few better 5-drops at this point against an empty board than a Sludge Belcher. And it looks like Posmoam could well just answer with a Sludge Belcher of his own.
I think you don't have another choice. If you go for the bomb block, if anything, just deal 4 damage to the Sludge Belcher. Maybe. Yeah, you have to play Belcher.
Doesn't even have the mana to cute or bomb Bomber and Taskmaster. He's just gonna have to go ahead and play his own there. So he gets an Owl coming to hand. It does have Sylvanas as well. How do you feel about dropping Sylvanas on turn 6 here?
Well, there's a Sludge Belcher, so I think you can definitely drop the Sylvanas. If there's, is there a possibility to kill your own Sylvanas in Paladin? I don't think so, right?
No, not really.
Yeah, so you have to play it to get the value out of it. So when there's a creature with Death Rattle that will trigger after after Sylvanas will be killed, then you get at least some guaranteed value out of that.
Sure. So there is an Owl in hand for Posma Wham, so you can deal with a Sylvana. He's looking like a... So Taskmaster played on his own Sludge Belcher to get through the opposing Sludge Belcher, and that's both Cruel Taskmasters down for Posma Wham, so he's not going to be able to pull off any combos with Taskmaster and Gromash.
Well, he also used the Whirlwind, so the only possibility to trigger Gromash instantly will be a Death Spite.
Yeah, and he looks like one of the Death Spites is going to come out here, so it could well be that Posma Wham is burning through his Gromash activators very quickly. Is this the sort of thing that can really cause the warrior problems down the line if you don't have any way of activating Gromash?
That's a question if the Paladin has a big threat that can change the late game. Like, actually, maybe it's not a big deal because the Gromash can be Peacekeeper, right? And then it doesn't really matter if the oh wow, now he triggered the Death Rattle to kill the Belcher to avoid killing the Sylvanas and just getting a 1-2 or 2-1. So that was a really crucial Harrison Jones. But back to the topic, I don't think that not triggering the Gromash and Rage at the same turn might not be an issue unless you want to kill with the Gromash. Like, if you don't kill with the Gromash, then I think it's okay. Then you can trade for almost every single creature anyway.
It's gonna go be an execute on the Sylvanas here.
And a 50-50.
You have 50-50 on the bomb lover. Is it gonna? No, it's gonna hit the
Oh,
1-1. Pretty
unfortunate.
gutting for Posmawam. And a cog hammer coming down. That'd be pretty nasty on the Harrison Jones, actually.
Yep. Then we'll see a Shields Maiden with Shield Slam or second Bomb Lobber if then. But probably there will be a 1-1 still on board. So the Bomb Lobbers are actually awful against the Paladin.
Yeah, in fact, you could see a cog hammer pro might well be cog hammer knife juggler with a 1-1 as well. So that's a 1 in 3 for the second bomb lobber. It's probably it would have to be a shield maiden shield slam. Or shield block shield slam he has as well.
I think Shields Maiden Shield Slam will be better. Unless he draws a Fury Warx, then he can use Shield Block, Shield Slam, and
Oh!
yeah. So now you have to use those. Oh no, wait, no, yeah, you have to use them. Oh, he's going for the Bomb Lock. Okay.
And gets it this time. So that kills the Harrison Jones, and he's going to take out the knife juggler with the war axe.
Well, he had 66% chance to get something from this Bomb Lobber because the only really bad outcome was that single recruit. He would have cleared the other two creatures with the weapon anyway, but he saved 2 points of life.
Now, without the second muster for battle available on these quartermasters, I was just going to say, do you 2-3-3s here and even trade one of those in?
Yes, you do. It's still a great deal. Like you used 7 points of mana to spawn a 3/3 creature into 5 creature and you got a buff. So I think it's a great deal.
Shield Maiden going to come down here, but the Warrior already getting pretty low on. But the armor is going to start to build up and take him back out of range. Lotheb coming out. That could be critical.
Yeah, now he will start to fill out the board with the Peacekeeper, with the Lotheb, and a 1/1 dude. And the Quartermaster might be also good next turn. Smith can silence his own Shields Maiden to clear maybe the Quartermaster or Lotheb.
That is very true.
Will he do this?
He just decides to trade for the 1/1.
He probably will save the Owl for the Tyrion.
True, I'm not sure if he's playing. In fact, I don't believe he is playing a second Owl, so I think that's his only silence in the deck, so he definitely wants to hold on to that. But this board is starting to look pretty scary for Nimsh here.
For Nimsh? Why for Nimsh?
I mean, Nimsh's board is starting to look a little bit scary. Yeah. That's what I mean.
Okay, sorry.
Do you go ahead and you trade the Lothebs here? Just
I think
establish your own board.
I think it was a good choice.
Oh, and he gets that onto the Shield Maiden, so he can take it out.
That's also very important, just because Postmavam has no easy way to clear the one creature, and this will mean that the second Quartermaster will have the same value as the first one. I'm not really sure what he's waiting for with the Shield Block and Shield Slam. It might have been used already.
Captain Greenskin, that's probably not going to be that useful.
Well, he will play it maybe, anyway. Just to get that Death Rattle from... he likes it with the value. Yeah. Still a great value.
Wants to keep his 1/1s out of range of the Death Spite as well.
Yep. Be useful here, but now Postmefam is forced to use the Shield Block Shield Slam.
And there's the Gromash. He does actually have the Death Spite up here. So we talked about him not
enough mana. Yeah. But he has to use the Death Spite right now.
Yeah. That's going to be that's actually very upsetting for Posmai Wham. He's going to have to sit with his Gromash in hand, and Gromash can only watch on as the last Whirlwind in the deck goes down.
Well, he has a little time to do anything in this game, so he's dangerously low. Even with killing 2 creatures, he will get additional 7 points of damage next turn, and this turn he will end at 16 points of life. So that's not a good spot to be in.
Definitely not. And a true True Silver
Wow.
Champion Greenskin. That's such a
Yeah.
horrible combo. That's going to be the absolute auto play for Nimsh here. Leaving with those 2 owls in hand.
Yeah, even with the Harrison Johnson Posmill in hand, that doesn't save him from the situation on board.
Nope, not at all. It's going to be too much damage for Posmawam to deal with, and Nimsh is looking at a perfect game here. 30 health up with a True Silver Champion.
He has to draw the Brawl. And then his Harrison Johnson to live.
That is the only way to live, and I guess he might be able to hold out long enough. I guess, you know.
Straza,
get Alex Straza, and there's the Brawl. Oh my god!
What if you have to play the Brawl?
You have to play the Brawl here. If the Harrison Jones lives, you can Alex Straza next turn, and you're back in the game.
Yeah.
Oh my god! This is Brawl for the game here. And no, the Harrison. The Harrison doesn't live.
Still not lethal.
No, that's not lethal unless Nimsh draws into 1 damage. And he does
the 1 damage.
Oh, wow. What an end to that game there, where it looked like the Paladin was running away with it. And actually, the Warrior really threatened coming back at that there right at the end with the Alex Straza draw. That could have turned into a very different game, and we could have been talking for quite a bit longer about it. But that is going to be game number 1, going over to Nimsh. On the Paladin deck, and the Control Warrior of Posmawam falling here. Very difficult game for Posmawam. Just didn't get the Control Warrior going. Didn't get the pieces he needed in the start to deal with the early Paladin pressure.
Yeah, he didn't get the Fear Warx. Maybe he should have kept the coin for the turn 3 Death Spite. But still, I think the Acolyte of Pain might have been the better play, but just because if you would get the Fear Warx really soon, like in the next turn after the Acolyte of Pain, that will be really crucial, but that was unfortunately not the case for him. So now Posmivam will probably pick Rogue, right? That would be like a logical choice against the Paladin.
It's always very difficult to pick into a mirror match. It never feels that good because, particularly when you're playing what are very similar decks, it comes down to RNG and what you draw off the top.
Yep.
Sure. So we're probably going to see the Rogue deck of Posmawam coming against the Paladin. You can see there the Warrior deck of Posmawam eliminated. Great screen, which has got somewhat crowded now, with 5 on either side instead of 3, but still looking good.
With 5? When do you see 5?
5 on each side.
Really? Am I missing something?
Well, you got the because they've each brought 5 decks. 5 on either side.
Oh, there's the Hunter. Okay, I didn't see the bear. Okay,
yeah,
never mind.
Didn't see the Hunter at the back there. Did it just look like part of the Warlock to you?
Yeah, exactly. It's that Warlock.
Indeed. Interesting. So we have, but obviously in a series like this, it's not like a best of 3 where going 1-0 down can just, snowball you and you've only got 1 deck choice. Still a lot of chance for Posmawam to come back here, and you did say the Rogue could well be the MVP.
Yep. I think that that will be the deck of choice against Paladin, and that the question I asked before is the Rogue playing 2 Blade Flurries, and if he is, then it will be a really good matchup. Oh, and look, there's the Blade Flurry in Posmawam, so that's a really crucial card. The same goes for the Fan of Knives, just to counter the Masterful Battle, but as we see, Nimsh has a really good hand for the second time. He has the Zombie Chow, he has the Masterful Battle, and the Owl of Peacekeeper, so all 3 are really good early game cards. Just the Dr. Boom is just getting, I think, mulliganed away.
I mean, I guess that's a good hand if you want to call that a good opening. I guess it's okay. It's pretty good.
I think it's like a good opening hand.
Well, he does, as you say, have the zombie chow and the muster for battle. But in fact, zombie chow coin coghammer actually looks pretty good as well because you can just get mega value off that zombie chow.
Thank you.
That's true. He mulliganed away the Blade Flurry, so he has to play two. Because if he would play one, he would have kept it.
So predictably, the zombie chow coming down, and nothing really to play for the rogue.
Reporting for duty.
And Nimsh opting for a more passive play here in turn 2, doesn't opt to coin anything out, just takes a Silverhand Recruit instead, build up his board. Interesting, find out Cog, the muster for battle. We're just having a little connection issue with Lothar, but we'll bring him back as as soon as possible. The Earthen Ring Farseer coming down. To give a 3. Alright, we're back here. Just getting the video back. Slight issue.
My shield for Argon.
Just, yep, just waiting on getting the screen back so I can see what's going on. But very good hand for Dimsh on the Paladin, and nothing really on offer for the Rogue until these mid turns. Just trying to get the feedback here so I can see what's going on. And I'll bring you that soon. There we go. I have the feedback now. So the Violet Teacher has come down from the Rogue. So that's going to start to build up some board presence. Not a lot of spells in hand. Does have the Deadly Poison. But the Piloted Shredders coming into hand for Nimsh over the last couple of turns. They're going to be very, very useful indeed for turn 4. And one of those is going to come down. And just trade with the Apprentice here. Sprint coming into hand for Pause My Wham on the Rogue. It possibly is the double Sprint Rogue with the Blade Flurries that we saw Dark Wonix playing yesterday. And we saw Dills playing on day 1. Is an SI7 available as well as the Deadly Poison? He could in fact opt to prep Sprint here, and that would get him 2 Silverhand Recruits. Feels like perhaps a slightly ballsier play, but he doesn't have a huge amount of options in hand, and he might opt to do that to get more of those in.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, we have Lothar back here.
Sorry guys, but Skype is playing some
Garbage. So we have the Violet Teacher on board with the Pilot Shredder from Nimsh, and Pause My Wham is just thinking. It looks like he's thinking about the best way to use his spells. He's gonna go ahead and prep a Deadly Poison.
Well, that's spawning a lot of minions, and Nimsh doesn't have the Consecration, so that's a good option.
And he's gonna use the SI7
Yep.
to clear. Oh, there's an Unstable Ghoul. That's... Oh, no!
Way.
That is the absolute worst thing for Pause My Wham.
Possible? That's lucky Nimsh. No way.
Nimsh, that lucker, gets exactly what he needed to kill those Violet Apprentices.
Those were the eggs needed.
Didn't have Consecrate in hand. Didn't need Consecrate. Who needs Consecrate? Consecrate's overrated.
Yeah. You get just an Unstable Ghoul from the Piloted Shredder.
Yeah, just use your Piloted Shredders to get the AoE. Get a Doomsayer, get an Unstable Ghoul. I don't know why anyone runs AoE anymore, Lothar.
Oh.
I'm going to see a Knife Juggler muster for hoping for good luck from these. And gets it, so he's going to be able to kill the button.
That's just impossible.
Great couple of turns for Nimsh here. He has your Drake in hand for Pause My Wham, and that's going to come down as a good minion in this point in the game. But he's going to guilty about his luck at this point.
Oh, that's the Blade Flurry, so he will save this Blade Flurry, definitely. He will no. If he didn't get that, trade with the weapon for the Knife Juggler and then kill one of the 1/1s, I think.
Absolutely.
But he doesn't know that there's no Quartermaster, so... He has
He's
to
gonna
play like there's a quartermaster in the hand.
sure. He's not going to be able to play. Well, he does kill the knife juggler actually.
Yeah,
So he leaves himself open to the quartermaster.
yeah, but that's only because he has the blade flurry in his hand. This kind of play when he sacrificed the agent for the knife juggler is just telegraphing a really strong AOE next turn. And when you think about AOE from Rogue, it's blade flurry. So I think with this kind of play, even Nimsh, even with a quartermaster in hand, maybe he would not play it.
Yeah, because he would be anticipating the blade flurry. That's absolutely right. Does have a sludge belcher instead though, or you may opt to go with another dude and pilot shredder. Would you try and develop another recruit here, or would you just go for sludge belcher?
I think Sludge Belcher. Or maybe Piloted Shredder. Oh, oh yeah, that's that's a really good play. There's to play around the AOE. Now we will see a sprint for sure.
Yeah, this feels like a pretty good sprint turn. There's not a huge amount of threats on board. You don't have any better plays in hand. This is probably going to be a sprint. Does it really hurt in this deck not to be able to prep a sprint?
In this situation, when there's no pressure, like only Sludge Belcher on the board, I think that's not so hurtful.
Oh, and there's the prep.
It will still be useful.
Oh, Ragnaros for turn 8. If he decides to go for a YOLO Rag.
There's a Tyrion. And there's no silence in the Rogues deck, I think, right?
Don't believe so. No, there's no silence in this deck whatsoever.
How do you deal with that weapon? It's destroying your hero.
He does have a couple
really
of
harsh.
saps, but that's not going to be that useful.
Oh yeah, right, sap. But there's no sap in his hand.
Nope, not even second deadly poison, eviscerate, blade flurry. The damage starting to stack up for Posmawam, but the board of Nim's really threatening. Do you go for a Lotheb in this situation? Do you even consider the blade flurry to clear those two bodies, or do you just go for a YOLO Rag here?
That's a really harsh situation. Like, maybe you play the low tap and eviscerate to kill the 3/3, maybe, or maybe Talnos eviscerate blade flurry.
Blade flurry
It's really
could
a
work.
harsh turn.
He's going to go for the second deadly poison. He's going to use the blade flurry. He has the eviscerate to deal with anything scary coming out the shredder. It's just a puddle stomper, so he's going to go ahead with the Lotheb.
Now, Nemsh will play Tyrion for sure, I think. Well, okay, he can play the Sylvanas instead. And
Yep, we can go with the Sylvanas here.
if he's fearing the sap, he can play the Sylvanas then, because he will still have something from the turn. Or maybe he'll just play the Peacekeeper. Oh, he's going with Tyrion. Okay, so he's not fearing a sap at all.
Absolutely, and that's going to be a good decision because there isn't going to be one coming out here.
Unless there
Fan
will
of
be a brawl.
Knives. Fan of Knives is very useful to shield.
Yeah, he can Talnos prep Fan of Knives into a sap, and if there's no sap, then he can play the Ancient Healbot. So there's always something.
He's not going to prep the Fan of Knives, though.
I think he will rethink this situation.
No, he's not. He's just going to go ahead and play the Fan of Knives. As you say, I think the... Oh, there's the sap!
No,
He went for the gamble.
Okay.
He gambled on getting the sap there, leaving himself not able to play the Antique Healbot. And that gamble's paid off because he gets a sap into hand.
But that's still a problem, because how do you deal with the Tyrion next turn? You have to think if maybe he skips the sap this turn and just plays it the next turn. But if he doesn't play it this turn, then the Tyrion will trade for Lotheb. So it's not a good deal anyway.
And if he doesn't play this turn, the Coghammer can come back down and refresh the Divine Shield.
Yep.
But he is going to go ahead and play that sap. Actually, yeah, the Coghammer Tyrion combination is one that I haven't seen too often, haven't really thought about. But actually, that Coghammer does give you a great way to replenish the Divine Shield of Tyrion. It's one of the few efficient ways of giving a minion Divine Shield in Hearthstone. A lot of the things like protectors and things like that aren't. So do you think we see the Tyrion come straight back down here, or are we looking at maybe a Sylvanas and Peacekeeper play?
I think he has to play the Tyrion, because if he plays Sylvanas, then he gets 7 points of damage to the face,
Put your faith in the
and that's not a good situation.
Absolutely.
And, still no Eviscerates were played this game.
Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil here.
Well, he has to pop the Divine Shield first. So maybe he will just sacrifice Telnos first and see what he will draw into. I think so. Like you wouldn't. You have to keep this the Eviscerate to kill the Paladin of next turn. So
Sure.
you have to draw into something. Second
Oh,
Eviscerate.
double Eviscerate.
So now the that crucial 2 points of damage from the Telnos that the spell power added, but he goes for the 50-50
In fact,
with the Rag.
he's not going to... Or is he going to go for the 50-50?
Yeah,
I thought he
he's
was
going
going to
for
clear
the
the Tyrion. But he doesn't get the 50-50. Looking at the...
Wait, that was lethal, right? He could have attacked with the low tap and the dagger and killed the Paladin.
Yeah, that's the play that I was thinking he was going for, even with the...
That was 100% lethal. I was just surprised that he didn't attack.
Yeah, if he'd killed the Tyrion with his face and the Lothab, then that was...
Yeah. Oh,
that was-
wow. That was a missed lethal from Posmivan.
How do you miss lethal when your opponent has 8 damage with Ragnaros?
I'm not really sure. Maybe he thought he attacked with the dagger. I have to ask him that.
We will definitely need to ask him. I'm not... What can Nimsh do to get over here? I mean, he can use the Coghammer to give something taunt, but then he's going to lose the Ashbringer. I guess he can use the Peacekeeper on the Lotheb and put down some more minions and hope that Ragnaros doesn't kill him.
I must move quickly.
There's not really anything else he can... It's going to be the Sylvanas. Sylvanas Coghammer. And
There's still the second Eviscerate.
Backstab. That's going to be crucial, in fact.
So is there a lethal here? Let me think. You go with the backstab to the Divine Shield, then you can play the Tinker's Master's Oil, but that's not really useful. You can play the Ancient Healbot too. Wait, what are you doing? Oh yeah, he has lethal. Yeah, that's 8 points of damage.
Yep,
Exactly.
with the Eviscerate and the Dagger, that's going to be enough. So the Rogue is going to be able to get off here.
Well played.
But wow, man, that was really close. That missed me from in the game, just because of the, oh man, what's the name of the Paladin's weapon? I always forget it.
The Ashbringer.
No, the Divine Shield taunt.
The Cockhammer.
Yeah, Cockhammer. So
The Twitch chat keeps thinking we're saying Cockhammer.
how do you pronounce
it's causing
it
them
correct?
Coghammer with a G, not Cockhammer.
Okay, Coghammer.
Coghammer. Let's do it with it's got a U after it. Coghammer. Just so we're sure that we're not saying Cockhammer.
Okay, so that weapon was really crucial in this situation. Sylvanas, imagine that was like a 3 mana point Defender of Argus, even better because the Sylvanas was even harder to kill with Divine Shield than with a 6/6 stats. So it was really important in this situation, and it almost costed him the game that he didn't push for lethal the turn that.
Absolutely. So we have the the mage or the druid here for Nimsh. And actually, while we're getting ready for that game to come back in for game 3, we did say we'd bring you scores from the other results. And in the other game being played right now, 6-0 versus Alchemist, a replay from the very first game we saw, 6-0 was victorious. Speaking of cockhammering, 6-0 beating Alchemist 3-0. So 6-0 advances to 27 in tournament games this week. Hasn't dropped a game in this tournament so far, so he went 3-0 over the two stages, so to go 6-0, and has won his final game 3-0 here. So 2-6-0. So he's in fact 15-0 over the 3 days that he's played in this HearthStats Challengers League. A very impressive performance from 6-0.
Amazing.
And we'll see
Really
him
amazing.
in the Champions League in February. But it's going to be the Druid of Nimsh, and it's looking like a ramp variant with this Ancient of War here.
Well, the rogue is really happy with the coin, so that's
Absolutely.
really important. Also, there's no wild growth for Nimsh.
No.
Surprisingly, I thought he would he would draw it right now. Though he's so hilarious.
It's the sort of thing that Nimsh would do, but didn't come in for him.
That's at least one free turn for Pozmevam here. It would be really great if there will be no Shade of Nextramas for Nimsh, but Nimsh has it. Oh, that's a wild.
It's a couple of turns too late on the wild growth there.
Yeah, but still okay. You can play Wild Growth on turn 4, then you can play the Ancient of the War at least one turn earlier, and you have 2, so that's really crucial.
Absolutely. You want to start getting those out from your hand up with minions for the later game. So Posmawam has some options here. Looks like it's just going to be an SI7 coming down, potentially on its own.
Yeah, that's okay. Like, there are almost no targets for at least a while, and he has a good curve. Like turn 4 will be Violet Teacher, turn 5 can be Galawix. So now we'll probably see a Wrath and Wild Growth.
Seems like a pretty clear line of play for Nimsh there. Not going to be able to cycle the Wrath. He's going to have to use the full 3 damage, but that's not going to be too bad.
That is
And
okay.
at what point do you think about revealing these shades here?
I think you can keep it when they're big enough to sustain any kind of damage from one projectile, like one Eviscerate, one Blade Flurry. That's the threshold you want to like bypass.
So probably Violet Teacher coin Deadly Poison here to start building up those 1/1s.
Oh, he is. Okay. That's interesting because I thought he will want to play the Galawix on turn 5.
This is a very similar line of play from what we saw in the last game, though. He does kind of really value these Violet Teachers in the early game and using the coin with the Violet Teacher to get an extra 1/1. This feels like a good
It would push
Senjin.
Nimsh into using Swipe and Hero Power this turn just to deal with one creature, to be honest, because that would be a very good option for here. There will be no easy way of dealing with that one life point next. How do you want to kill that? You have to kill it right now. So do you want to sacrifice the Eviscerate? I think you have to. Oh no, you can play Talnos, Eviscerate the Senjin, and then sacrifice one dude, and that's it.
Yeah, it does look like he sees that, so he's going to go ahead and use that Eviscerate on the Senjin, clear the shade, and start to build up a little board of 1/1s here. Does have a Deadly Poison Dagger up, but this is going to be an Ancient of Lore turn.
Yep. You want to draw the 2 cards on turn 7 for sure. Well, turn 6 to be honest. Oh,
MC
there's
Tech.
MC Tech against a Violet Teacher deck. That can be useful. And
Can be
oh
useful,
man, if Pozmevan doesn't clear this 5/5 minion with his weapon and those 2 creatures on board, then he might be into a surprise next turn if he will spawn something else. And there will be 4 creatures for that MC Tech, but he does it. So good call.
So he's going to clear the Ancient of Lore and play the Gallywix.
That's a funny melody when he's being played. Like,
I would say I haven't actually seen it played on ladder yet, but so I haven't had the chance to hear it yet. But I actually of all the decks that I've seen in this tournament so far, I haven't tried before. I think this Dark Onyx Paladin deck is the one that I'm thinking.
Well, I think you will play the second Nation of Law. You don't really have other options.
No, there's no way to kill the Gallywix, which doesn't feel good, but